Hulk destroys a city, and Wolverine is sent to bring Hulk to justice. However, as they fight, they meet a mutual enemy, and they have to unite their differences to fight in unity. Do you think they will win? Hello, today Anytime will show you the recap of Hulk vs. Wolverine. Spoiler alert, watch out and take care. The movie starts on a lonely mountain. Wolverine talks about himself. He says he's the best at what he does, but unfortunately, what he does isn't good. He's on the mountain with injuries and wonders what has happened to him. The question isn't far-fetched as he sees Hulk jumping on him at that moment. He figures out what has happened, and it all started about 4 hours ago. 4 hours ago, Department H calls him to a location. As he travels on the plane, the officer asks him who he is, but he tells him he shouldn't know who he is. They get to the location and they meet the head of Department H. He sees the city is in crumble. He asks the department head, who shows him the city's ruins. It's Elkford City, and a calamity has happened. He tells him a giant creature has attacked the town, and the creature is going towards the US-Canadian border. He says he thinks the forces involved in the calamity, and that's why they've called Wolverine. Wolverine goes nearer to one of the cars in the ruins. He sees a toy and notices when the baby stands up to Hulk. He smells toxic nature. The Department H heads orders him to find Hulk and kill Hulk before Hulk destroys another city. He takes the plane alone with some of the Force members, and they see a mountainside. They figure Hulk is around the mountainside, and they ask if they should stop the plane, but he refuses and jumps down. He walks through the snow and goes to the water. He cleans his face and sees the footsteps of a huge creature. He assumes the beast is the Hulk, and he follows the footsteps until he gets to a mountainside, where he climbs the mountain. As he climbs the mountain, he sees the human version of the Hulk. He doesn't know it's the same person destroying the city, and moreover, he sees Bruce crying. He goes nearer to the timid being and asks if he has seen a huge creature around. Bruce, who assumes Wolverine wants to attack him, walks towards the rock and begs Wolverine to leave him alone. Wolverine, who doesn't even know he's the creature, goes nearer to Bruce to ask about Hulk. He pins Bruce to the wall, and when he gets closer, he smells toxicity on him. Wolverine figures the person in front of him may not be a good person, so he brings out his claws and pins Hulk to the mountain and threatens to kill him with a third and middle hand sword if Bruce doesn't confess as to who he is. Bruce, who dislikes getting angry, eventually gets angry. He screams and changes to his real form, thereby pushing Wolverine away. This takes us to the first scene of the movie. Wolverine stands up. He attempts to fight Hulk back, but Hulk is more powerful. Hulk pushes him to the water, then hits him inside the water before pushing him out of the water and beating him up. While hitting him, Hulk keeps repeating that he's the strongest person on Earth and no one is as strong as him. Hulk walks away thinking he has defeated Wolverine, but Wolverine stands up and calls his attention back. Wolverine asks that they fight again, but suddenly they hear gun sounds. Some superpower holders shoot the both of them, and the person that held the gun, Wilson, calls Wolverine by his real name, Logan. While incapacitated, Wolverine, who's now a superpower holder, called Wolverine, remembers his past. He walks out of a bar drunk, and as he takes the last drop of his alcohol, he sees an older man, the professor, looking at him. He asks the man why he's looking at him, but the man hits him. He calls for backup, and they carry him away. Logan wakes up in an experimental cage. The professor asks his worker to switch on the adamantium on Logan, and this leads to the development of his ability. The professor is creating a team of fighters, which he calls warriors. Before Logan's process, one of the warriors, Sabretooth, warns the professor about turning Logan into one of them, and says it may not go as well as he thinks. As Logan's process continues, he changes form. He breaks out of the cage and kills all the security without much stress. He breaks through the barriers and gets to the professor. He cuts the professor's hands before jumping out of the building after killing some guards. Presently, as he wakes, he finds himself tied. Professor tells him they have been looking for Hulk for a long time, and thanks to Department H, he was able to help them find Hulk. He says the last city was a casualty that happened during one of their chases, and if Department H had sent Wolverine, the people wouldn't have died. He asks the professor what he wants to do with Hulk, and the professor tells him he wants to turn him into a weapon, just like he wants to make Wolverine a weapon. He tells him he will erase the memory of both Hulk. He tells him he will erase the memory of both Hulk and Wolverine, and they will work for him. Wolverine asks him to kill him now that he has the opportunity, because if he gets out, he will kill all of them. As the professor leaves, Wilson, who's standing beside Wolverine, tells Wolverine that Deathstrike has attempted to kill him earlier, and Deathstrike hates him specially. Wilson asks if he still has the Iron Head and hits him with the gun. Wolverine blanks out and wakes up in the experimental cage. He sees Deathstrike in front of him, and she tells him she will kill him whether the professor likes it or not. Professor arrives with Sabretooth. He asks Deathstrike what she's doing there and asks her to leave, telling her he's about to erase Wolverine's memory, but Deathstrike attacks him and kills him. Deathstrike breaks Wolverine's cage, and she and Sabretooth prepare to kill Wolverine. Deathstrike attacks Wolverine. Sabretooth tells her not to kill him, but she releases her claws and stabs him. He regains his strength and fights back. He hits Deathstrike until she falls. He goes right after her and detaches her android hands. Since she's weak, he leaves the room and finds his way to where Hulk is locked. He sees Bruce in the cage and breaks him out. As Bruce comes out, he tells him to please save him. He says Hulk mustn't get into the hands of evildoers and begs Wolverine to help him out. Wolverine walks away with him, and on the way, he tells him he doesn't care about his story. On the other hand, Sabretooth and Deathstrike call the other warrior. They see the professor on the ground, and Sabretooth lies that it was Wolverine who killed the professor. He says the professor has commanded them to kill Wolverine, and the others accept unknown to them that it's a trap. One of the warriors, Omega, who uses an electric whip, finds Wolverine and Bruce as they are about to escape. He jumps at Wolverine, but Wolverine protects Bruce. Eventually, Wolverine subdues Omega for a while and sets out to run away with Bruce. He tells Bruce that the other enemies are coming. He asks Bruce to bring Hulk out, but Bruce tells him he can't bring Hulk out. Bruce explains to him that he doesn't control Hulk and he can't direct Hulk, as Hulk only comes out whenever he's angry, and the drugs the professor has given him is stopping him from anger. To force Hulk out, Wolverine stabs Bruce and leaves him there. Wolverine goes to fight their enemies. He starts with Sabretooth and hits him before moving to Deathstrike. However, when he loses control, Omega carries him with his electric whip and prepares to electrocute him to death. Luckily, Hulk awakes. He screams that Hulk will snatch and claw people, and he hits Sabretooth out of the building. He pushes Deathstrike away, then Omega attempts to attack him. Omega uses his second whip at Hulk, allowing Wolverine to escape from the first whip. Eventually, Hulk pushes the enemies away, and then sets out to attack Wolverine, who reminds him that they are on the same side. Hulk doesn't reply. He keeps chasing Wolverine, then Wilson comes from behind to throw an explosive into Hulk's mouth, hoping he will die. Wolverine tells Wilson that he has only succeeded in making Hulk angry. The bomb explodes, but Hulk survives. As Hulk attempts to attack Wolverine again, Wolverine throws Wilson at him. While Hulk fights Wilson, Wolverine escapes, but Omega climbs into the building to attack him. Deathstrike also returns to fight Hulk. She scratches Hulk's body, and that gets him annoyed. She keeps jumping over him and cutting him until he eventually finds her. He holds her in his hands and detaches her two hands. He goes to meet Omega, who's fighting Wolverine, and hits Omega to the wall. He prepares to destroy the laboratory. He eventually destroys the laboratory, but before it explodes, Wolverine jumps out. After the building explodes, Hulk comes out and jumps to fight Wolverine. Thanks for watching the recap. Kindly subscribe to our channel to get notified when we post the next recap. See you next time.